Afternoon. I'm on a bit early today, just so I can get some people on board. Anybody there? Just posting a link to the website. There we are, that's pinned. If you're popping on, say hello. What have we got on today? Hello, Dawn. How are you? You enjoying this weather? Glorious today, isn't it? Hello, Ian. What are you doing watching this? You're supposed to be working. I don't know. Am I nice and square? Afternoon, Annie. Oh, it's a new thing. Bring them on camera. Oh, I can bring people on camera. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Oh, hello, Kate, aka Bev. You're not Kate today, are you? Afternoon, Donna Sweetness. How is you? Ooh, I can't share today. If you can all do me a big favour and share this live on Facebook for me, stick it on your timeline, stick it on in any crafting groups that you're part of, or if you know anyone that would be interested in watching this, if you can invite them as well. That would be fabulous. Thank you very much. What's everyone up to today? Sunbathing? Crafting? Bit of cleaning? What you all doing? Camera's a bit higher today as well, so hopefully you'll have a better view of what I'm doing. Because normally it can be a bit tight. So we've changed the setup a little bit. So hopefully it should be all right. What's the time anyway? Oh, it's just gone 2. Plenty of time. Anyone else going to come on, do you think? Ooh, I got stiff shoulders today. Don't know what it is. Oh. Unless it might have been when we were assembling our screens in the shop the other day. I may have pulled a muscle or something. Not used to all this physical work, that's the thing. Oh, Donna, you're going to do some organising. Yeah, I think we need to do some organising as well. Need to sort out some of these dies and stamps sets that we've got here. Because we just got so many now, it's just getting a bit crazy. Oh, I see today's milder today, I think, isn't it? It's going to be warmer tomorrow. So make the most of it while it's here, because it's not going to last, apparently. So I pinned a link to the website, to all the products that I'm going to be using today on the website. And he says maybe it was lifting that heavy box from Lavinia Stamps. I don't think so, because it wasn't that heavy. Cost a lot, but wasn't that heavy. I'm still waiting for my Sentimentally Yours order to arrive. I don't think it's going to be... I was hoping it would be coming today, but I don't think it is now. I think it might be tomorrow, unfortunately. But I'm sure it'll arrive when it comes. That's deep, isn't it? It'll arrive when it comes. I think maybe everyone's in the garden, because there's not very many people coming on today, are there? Unless they're going to watch later. So if you're going to watch later, either on Facebook or YouTube, welcome. Thank you for watching. And I think I'm going to crack on with what I'm doing today, which is nothing like this. Anyone that's seen my post on Facebook, I had to modify my card a little bit because I used the Julie Hickey. I actually used the Julie Hickey Fresh Floral Border stamp set. That's the one I used on this card. I'm actually going to be using the Poinsettia border today, just for a change. Seeing as, you know, the big C is looming. So that's the one that I used, Fresh Floral Border, which I think we've still got. We've had those back in stock again. And then the Poinsettia border, we've got those in stock as well. Lovely dies, lovely stamps, really nice, so versatile. So yeah, so I'm going to be using those. But yeah, I'm also going to be using the Lowercase Alphabet Die Set, which I just could not wait to get my hands on. I love these dies. The only issue that I had, and anyone that buys them from us, I'll make sure that I remind you, is that when they package these dies, the D and the B were round the wrong way. So it went A, and then those two were there, which is actually the letter D. Because when you reverse it, it actually comes out as a letter D, because obviously you cut down. So it went A, D, C, B, E. So of course I went for the D in friend, and I ended up cutting a B. So I ended up having a fremb instead of a friend. So what I had to do was I had to then cut a D, and then actually cover up my mistake, which is underneath this bit here, and then put a topper on the front. So it's not exactly what I wanted to do, because I wanted to do an eclipse card, which is basically when you cut out the letters from the background pattern, and then you raise them up, and then it's still part of the background, but it just sort of looks, it stands out a bit because it's stuck up. If that's a word. Yes, but so that was my take on that. But that's the thing. Even if you do make a mistake, there's always ways to sort it out. So that is the type of card I'm going to be doing today. But I'm going to be doing it spelt right, and actually as an eclipse card. So I've already I've already, because I'm doing Merry in this one, because obviously it's a Christmassy one, so I'm going to do Merry. So I can't go wrong. I can't go wrong with Merry, he says confidently. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I've done a bit of die cutting in preparation. So I've used the Old Faithfuls. I've used the Sentimentally Yours from the Stately Collection, double debossed rounded corner rectangles. I love these dies. I use them all the time, as you probably already know. So what I've done is I have I've made myself a backing card card base, because I've actually done it as a side opening card. So it stands up like that. Because sometimes, I'm not too fussed on tent cards, because they always tend to bow in the middle, whereas I like to do a landscape card, but actually have it as a lengthways landscape. So it's like that. So I actually had to cut it out of, we sell the SRA 3 sheets of 300 gram in the shop. So I actually just use one of those. So all you need to do with that is you get an SRA 3 sheet and you fold it in half, score it in the middle, and then you use, I use the biggest die, which is that one on the very outside. And then when I put it through the die cutting machine, I just made sure that I left this cutting edge, this left cutting edge, just so that it was poking over the edge of the scored line. So leave it folded and then just put the cutting edge so it is just over the score line, and then everything will cut. So this will all cut all the way around there, but this bit won't cut, obviously, because there's nothing there. There are other ways of doing it by putting the plates at an offset and things like that, but I find that way works fine for me. And then you know it's going to be fine, and make sure you stick it down with your low tack tape. You probably have to put it through your machine a couple of times because it's obviously going through 600 gram instead of 300 gram. But I put it through the grand caliber, which isn't the best of machines, as everyone knows. Thank you, Donna. It is a nice card, isn't it? Nice and pretty card. It's not what I was going for, but it's quite nice. Yeah, so I use the grand caliber, so I did have to go through quite a few times, but obviously if you've got the Gemini or a machine that has got higher pressure, then you wouldn't have any problems cutting through 600 gram with those dies. So that's my base card already. And then I've also cut for the back of my card. It's exactly the same size die, so the outer one. I've actually cut it in 2 shades, 2 different colours, in the red mirror, matte mirror and the green matte mirror. I much prefer the matte mirror to the mirror, because it just, the mirror tends to just be a bit too much, I think, and just not a fan. So I've cut it out of 2 of those because I'm not sure whether I'm going to use the red or the green. So that's the only reason I've got 2 different colours of that. So I shall decide later. And then I've cut from the second die in. I've cut this out of our 300 gram super smooth card. Our lovely 300 gram super smooth card. Anyone that's just popped on, if you want to say hello so I can give you a shout out, or just a wave or anything like that, because there's a few people come on now, so it'd be nice to see who we've got. Yeah, so this is out of the 300 gram, and this is what I'm going to be doing my resist technique and my inking on. So that's that, and then I'm also going to be die cutting my word out of the middle of that. And then I've also got another piece of the 300 gram, and this one I've actually done out of the fourth die down, and that is actually going to be stuck onto the back of this piece once I've die cut out my word, just so that because I want to raise it up a bit, so I need something behind it for my letters to stick onto. But it'll all come apparent when you see it later, hopefully. Yeah, so that's the idea of that. So, I mean, those are out of 1 sheet of A4. Obviously, you've got your mirror card, which is sort of around about half a sheet of A4, I think. And then that was out of the SRA 3. So you can probably get 2 out of 1 SRA 3, I would think. 2 of those sort of shaped cards. So there we are. So I'll put all of those there. If anyone's got any questions, afternoon, Tracy Beth, how are you? If anyone's got any questions, just shout out and I'll see if I can answer them. And if I can't, I'm sure Ian will be able to answer them. or one of our other lovely customers. So the only other thing I've got is I've got my blending mat, just protecting my nice table. So the first thing I need to do is I need to do my stamping and embossing. So this is the Poinsettia border stamp set by Hickey. We have got a couple of these in stock. And now all I need to do is decide which one to use. Do I use that one or do I use that one? I think I'm going to use that one because I like the big poinsettia there. Oh, because it's nearly the end of July, isn't it? So it's about time we start thinking about Christmas, isn't it? Now, why is that lost focus? Are we back in focus again? Yes, I think we're back in focus. Right, so I'm just going to stick that onto my acrylic block. That's better. And I'm going to be using the Watermark translucent clear ink pad. You could use Versamark or Perfect Medium, Wow doing embossing ink, I think, as well, or there's a Ranger one, all sorts of different types of ink, but it's basically just a sticky watermark ink for using with embossing powders. So I'm going to be using that, and I'm also going to be using the Detail Clear Cosmic Shimmer embossing powder. If you wanted, you could use, if you wanted to go for a more dramatic effect, you could use white, or you could use black, but I'm just going to stick, yeah, black would be quite nice actually, but no, I'm just going to stick with the clear. I'm going to stick with the clear. And then get my piece of paper to catch my powder. Get everything ready. I like to get everything ready first before I actually do any embossing, because I like to put the embossing powder on as soon as I put my ink on, just so it hasn't got any time to dry. So I'm also going to use my anti-static pad. So I'm going to do the top and the bottom first of all. Just work on those areas. So just put a little bit of the anti-static pad over those areas, just to help a little bit, like that. You could use, if you wanted to, you could use a stamping tool, Press to Impress, or any of the other ones that you've got, but I'm just going to use my acrylic block. So then I'm just going to ink up my stamp. Just tap it all over. Don't need to press too hard. You just need to ink the tips of the stamp like that. And then I'm going to stamp this in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm going to do it a bit off the edge because I want to try not to get the border in. So excuse my head if it's in the way. Give that a bit of a press, like that. Got my trusty piece of paper ready. There we are. And I'm not sure if it's this stamp, if it's this ink pad, but whenever you stamp with it, it does seem to come out a little, there's like a really sort of pale blue sort of colour to it. That's on there, isn't it? Yes. Right, so, and I'm going to be very careful I wouldn't recommend doing all 4 sides at the same time because you need to make sure that you don't put your fingers in any of the powder, because until it's heated it's not fixed. So I'm going to do the opposite side now. Yeah, I love poinsettias too, Annie. They are lovely. I can't grow them, mind, but I do like them on cards. They are very pretty, aren't they? Oh, so it doesn't matter if you go off a little bit. It's not a problem. Give that a good press. And then lift it up. There we are, so that's that bit done. And I think, always try and be careful, and I still end up managing to get it all over the place. Dare I tempt fate? Let's live dangerously, shall we? I'll do my other my other two sides at the same time. Just need to be careful. I don't know if that'll go all the way along actually, because it's slightly different. So it might be a little bit too long on the edge there. So let's have a look. Just make sure that my holly on the right hand side doesn't cause any problems. Yeah, so like I said, normally I would do those two sides and then heat emboss those to fix them, and then do the other two sides, because at least then you know you're not going to damage any of your embossing. But just to save a bit of time, I'm trying to be careful. And when you tap off the excess, make sure that you don't be too vigorous. It's not like glitter. There we are, so that's that one. And then if I'm very careful, I should be able to do the other one. This embossing powder's got little bits of fluff in it or something, which I keep finding. There we are, so ink that one up. Very carefully. Hello, Dad. How are you? I see you're watching. Now, lift that off. And then you need to be careful where I'm holding it now. I've got all my areas. Come on. think I've got all my areas all right. That'll do. Back in my pot. Put my lid on because I don't want that going everywhere. And then I just need to, there's no rush now once I put the embossing powder on, as long as you don't put your fingers in it. You don't have to rush to heat it. So I'll give my stamp a quick squirt just to clean it, just with a bit of water. The sooner you can clean your stamps after you've used them, the better, really, rather than leaving any ink on them. And the sticky ink, even though it's clear, it obviously can stay sticky for a bit, and you don't want a sticky stamp. There we are, so that's that nice and clean. Now, where did I put the stamp set? Oh, it's behind there. Put that back on there so I know where it is. Right, and then I need to heat this, and I'm going to heat it from below. If you've got the patience to heat it from below, it is better to heat it from below, because you do tend to get a better emboss, and the embossing powder doesn't blow everywhere. That's the word. So just get my heat tool heated up a little bit, and then I tend to start in the sort of the middle of an area and just wait until I see it start to melt, and then I can just move on to another area then. And you know when it's melted, because it will start to go shiny, this one. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Probably not. And I'm just working along, just nice and slowly, until it goes shiny. It's nice to watch when you're actually watching it yourself, but it can be a bit boring to watch when you're on a live. So sorry about that, peeps. Has anyone got any news, any gossip? Anything exciting to share? I find heating from the top, it's more of a dimpled effect. Almost like a hammered finish, but heating from the beneath is smooth, Donna says. Yeah, it does seem to be a lot smoother when you heat from underneath. The only problem with heating underneath is you have to have more patience, because it does take a bit longer, because obviously you're heating through the card rather than just heating the embossing powder. But it is a lovely thing to do. We are going to be getting some of Phil Martin's embossing powders soon as well, because he does a really nice range of different colours and they're really good quality. They've got anti-static built in, so which is good. So they'll probably be coming in in August sometime. And then we should have his Christmas range in, either by the end of this week or beginning of next week. Ooh, Tracy Beth has asked a question. No silly questions. Is it possible to emboss using a hairdryer? No, it isn't. The reason being, an embossing heat tool like this has got direct heat because it's only a small nozzle. So you need quite a direct, intense heat to be able to do the embossing. So, I mean, you may be able to get away with using a hairdryer, but it might take a long time and the heat's probably going to be more sort of wide, more dispersed. So a heat tool is definitely a good thing to invest in. And it's good for drying. You'll see, like when I dry my inks and things like that, it's just good to have. It's good to have a heat tool. And we do sell one in the shop if anyone's interested. We sell a 2-speed heat tool. So the 2-speed is good because the lower heat setting is for just drying inks and things like that. And then the higher speed is for using with your embossing powders. There we are. So that's all heat emboss now. So if I run my fingers over it, none of it's actually going to come off. And you can feel it's all sort of slightly raised now as well. So that's that. So now I need to do the inky bit. No, never get tired of heat embossing, do we, Donna? Never get tired. So now I'm going to do my inking. So the reason I've done the heat embossing first of all with a clear embossing powder, and then I'm going to do the inking, is because that is how you get the resist effect. I mean, the only other way of doing it is you could, I suppose, ink and then stamp and heat emboss with white embossing powder, but it gives quite a nice effect when it's like that because it's I don't know if it's sort of blends in more as well, because you do still leave a little bit of the ink on top of the embossing powder, so it's just a nice effect, the resist technique. Oh, so that doesn't that look lovely? Just as a nice frame, and then you've got a perfect place in the middle for putting your sentiment. Oh, it's going to be lovely. Right, so inks. I'm going to be using, surprise, surprise, opaque pigment ink pads. I love opaque pigment ink pads. These are my absolute favourite. So I'm going to try on this one. I used which ones did I use? I don't know. I used fuchsia and 2 other colours. Crushed velvet, I think, and then I don't know. I can't remember what the other one was. But those were the colours I used on that. But because this is going to be a Christmassy one, I want to do... I mean, I could use the same sort of colours because that could be Christmassy. Could use blues and pale blues and things like that, because that would be quite Christmassy as well. But I'm going to go traditional Christmas. So I've got my green and my red. And then I'm going to use a bit of orange just to mix it up a bit. And I have my trusty... Oh, that's something I forgot was my scrap of paper. Just grab a scrap of paper. That'll do. It's softer. What's softer, Ian? Or is he talking about the embossing? The resist technique, probably. Yeah, so I'm going to use my amazing blending brush. The blending brushes, we did have blending brushes back in stock. We have still got some of the smaller size, but the we've sold out of the larger ones because 2 people have bought all of them, which was a bit crazy. So it's probably because they're such a good price, because the smaller one I think is £2 and the larger one is £3. So we will hopefully be getting some more of the larger ones in again, but we do have some of the smaller ones in stock. Which colour should I go for first of all? Shall I do if I start with the orange? And all I'm going to do is, I tend to, because it's got a bendy handle, you can, if you hold it on the handle and let it bend, then you'll get a subtler finish. I tend to sort of put my finger on it just so I can get a bit of a stronger finish. I tend to like stronger colours rather than more subtle ones. But that is entirely up to you. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to whack it on in circular motions. And because these are pigment ink pads, they're quite strong as well. The colours are, they're opaque, so they're quite strong. So there we are. You could use, if you don't want to use the blending brushes, you could use blending tools, the smoothies, all sorts of things. So I'm just going to come in from the edge as well. The idea is to fill up the whole of the sheet with ink, making sure that you get the embossed areas, because that'll help to make it show through. So a little bit more over here. I mean, if you wanted, you could just colour in the poinsettias with the colour. There's all sorts of different things. All sorts of different things you can do. So I'm just going to go straight in with my Chinese red. And try and fill in some of those areas. A little bit in the corner there. And obviously as you mix the colours together, they blend. And then you might get different colours starting to come through. And this is quite a good workout as well. Sometimes when they're quite juicy, you can put it onto the mat first of all. Yes, I need to pick up some of these poinsettias a bit. And work it into the gaps. Work it all the way around. It's a good workout as well. Afternoon, Alison, how are you? A little bit over here as well, I think. a little bit of room for my green then as well, because I could just stick with 2 colours, but I thought no, I think I'll try a little bit of, put a hint of green in there as well. So get rid of some of that colour on my piece of scrap, and then go in. Ooh, the green hasn't even been opened yet. Oh, here we go. Give me half an hour. There we are. Ooh, this is pine tree, this one is, so this will probably be quite juicy as it's a new one. So I'm just putting that on my blending mat first of all, so that it doesn't, so I don't end up with a big blob. And that goes quite well actually, doesn't it? The green. It's quite a nice contrast, I think. Ian would probably never go this heavy because he tends to like doing it a bit more subtle. I like the heavier look. Just make sure I fill in all my gaps. A little bit more in there. The more you work it, the more it tends to blend in. Oh yes, we're starting the classes again. Yeah, because our first class back in the shop is this Saturday. And Alison's booked in for Monday. So speaking of classes, anyone that used to come to our card making classes in the shop, we are going to be starting the classes back up in August. So if anyone is interested in booking in, if you go onto our website and then scroll down to the classes and events section, then there's a link to our calendar, and if you go onto our calendar, all of the dates and availability for August are on there. We're only taking 4 people in each class. We have got protective screens up as well, so everyone's going to be protected. So there won't be any worries about contaminating anyone, which is good. And the other thing we're doing as well, which we haven't actually told anyone yet, is anyone that, because we're going to be, as long as we have got the time to do it, we're going to be recording all of our card making classes and putting them onto private Facebook groups. So a bit like we've done with the paid classes up until now, we're going to be doing that for the card making classes that we're going to be doing in the shop. And anyone that comes to one of our classes in the shop will automatically, as long as you've got a Facebook page, a Facebook account, you will automatically be added to the private Facebook group, free of charge. So anyone that can't come to the shop but wants to do any of the classes, you can pay £10 and sign up for the class and watch it on our Facebook page, on the private Facebook group. But anyone that does come to the classes, they'll be signed up to the private Facebook group for that month, and then, which means that you'll then be able to watch the video back as many times as you like, whenever you want. If you want to do the same card again, or even if in a couple of years' time you think, oh, I'd like to do that card again, you'll be able to go back onto that Facebook group and have a look. And it also means that you can share all your makes in the group as well, which I think will be quite nice, because it means that anyone that comes to the classes or anyone that watches the class online, everyone will be able to share all of their creations in the group. So it'll be a nice sort of community and a good way of sharing ideas as well, because people always have their different take on cards. So yeah, so I think that'll be quite fun to be able to do that. So there we are. So there's my background. So now all I need to do is I need to clean my mess, and I need to get a piece of toilet paper so I can buff it up as well. So I'm just spritzing a bit of water on there. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could get a blank piece of paper and smush it all over and pick up the colour and make a background. In fact, I think I could do that, couldn't I? Should I get this piece I've got here? I can just stick that on there and just smushy it through, and there we are. See, nice little, using a bit of the ink. Not the best of paper to use it on because it's quite a thin piece of paper, but you could use it as a background. Put that to the side to dry. A lot of people like doing that, but I've actually got a cleanish tea towel this time. The inks will stain a little bit, probably, but that's because they're pigment inks. There we are, as long as it's nice and clean and dry, that's the main thing. Right, so that's that. So then I'm just going to grab a piece of toilet paper. And I'm back in the room. And then I'm just going to give this a quick, gentle buff over the embossed areas, and you'll see that it just takes off a little bit of the top layer of any ink that's sat on top of the embossed areas. Just helps to bring it up a little bit. There we are. We'll all be, Annie says, we'll all be film stars then. We'll have to behave ourselves. No, you won't be on film or anything, Annie. It just means that, like on the paid classes that we've got at the moment, you'll just be able to, if you want to, you can post your finished pictures onto the private Facebook group. Don't have to if you don't want to. It's entirely up to you. So there we are. So that's that. So I'm just going to give it a quick blast, just to dry it off a little bit. Make sure it's okay. Because it's pigment inks do tend to take a little bit longer to dry. So that's fine. There we are. What do you think? Like the colours? You can see the sort of the sheen from the embossing powders. I think that looks quite nice, doesn't it? Ooh, thank you for the loves. Right, so the next thing I need to do is I need to lay out my letters and then die cut those out of this piece. Which way up do I want it? Oh, I think that way. It's got to be that way, isn't it? So, open my packaging. So this is a lovely die set, this one. She does do an uppercase alphabet. It was out of stock when I went to order, so that's why I didn't get them. But I quite like just the lowercase. I think it's nice. So you get really good range of letters in there. Obviously the whole alphabet, plus an exclamation mark, question mark, and a little apostrophe. And you get doubles as well. Although when you look at the D's and the B's and the P's and the Q's, they're more or less exactly the same anyway. So, slightly different. The inner bit is slightly different, isn't it? That's interesting. And actually that one is slightly different, so I wonder if that one is in the wrong place. Oh dear, they do seem to be mixed up. Yeah, because those are the same as that, unless that's supposed to be... I don't think it really matters, does it? But yeah, so that's not actually a B, that's a D, because obviously when you die cut it, that's how you look at it. So it is a D. So I've repositioned mine into the right place. Just and actually I wonder if that's a... Oh, it's interesting, isn't it? Because that's slightly bigger than... The hole in that is slightly bigger than the hole in that. I really don't know. I'm getting myself all confused now. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, right, I digress. I'm doing Merry. So M, E, there's two R's, so that's easy. And there's two Y's as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my Merry on the middle of this. I'm probably actually as well... because it does come with a nice sentiment as well. Wishing you a wonderful Christmas. On this one, I stamped on wishing you the most wonderful day, which came on that stamp set. Wishing you the most wonderful day, and I actually did it in 2 lines, so it's easy enough to do. But this one is wishing you a wonderful Christmas, so I think I might actually put that maybe down the bottom there. I might just sort of line it up down the bottom. Or I could even do wishing you a wonderful and then Christmas at the bottom. Do it in 2 lines, I'll have to see. But I'm going to line these up in the middle. And just as a little tip as well, I line them up with my acrylic block. So make sure your acrylic block is more or less level. So I'm sort of lining it up with the bottom of my card, and then you know that when you put your letters on, you can butt them up to the bottom, to the top of the acrylic block, and you know that they're more or less going to be level. So M-E-R-R, obviously the Y isn't going to work because that's awkward, isn't it? So I'm going to make sure that my letters are more or less in the right place. Is that lined up, do you think? Centrally, maybe over a little bit more. And then my Y will be there. So, excuse my head. So take that away and then bring my Y down, so that it's in the right place. And then I'm just going to grab some low tack tape. Make sure I've spelt my, that's how you spell Mary, isn't it? M-E-R-R-Y, yes. So what I've done is I've got a longer piece of low tack tape, and then I'm going to stick it on across all the letters and then onto my card. Just gently. And then I know that they're all going to stay where they're put. So then I'm just going to bung this through my Gemini Junior. Best way to do it as well is if you can do it lengthways rather than that way, then you're going to get a better cut. So pop that onto my lovely clean cutting plate and then chuck that through my machine. There we are, so hopefully that should all have cut nicely. Yep, and there's my Mary. And it's nice because it all comes out just nice, sort of a bit of a mixture of colours. It's a nice gradient in there, which I think is quite pretty. So make sure that they're all in the right order so they match up. So then I can carefully peel my low tack tape off. And when you do this, you need to make sure that you do use a low tack tape, because you don't want to rip any of your background. There we are. There's a little bit of a line there, but it's not too bad. Those off of my sticky tape. Oh, you all still there? Everyone's very quiet. I'm having a lovely time playing with my card. So the other thing that I've done as well, because I want to raise these letters up, you can either raise them up with foam pads or foam tape, 3D glue gel, anything like that. But what I've actually done is I've actually die cut them separately out of funky foam. So basically just a sheet of craft foam, like these ones that we sell in the shop. This one is the white one. Obviously we've got different colours, but I've used white for this, because I've got white embossing as well, so it doesn't matter if the white shows through. So make sure that stands out all right. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my letters onto my funky foam letters, and they just die cut normally. Surprising actually, I suppose, because it's quite squashy. They do tend to just die cut really easily, just with the normal dies. So I'm going to stick those letters onto my funky foam. Just need to grab my fine nozzle glue. Oh, not very organised today, am I? Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying Bev. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Tracy Beth. Yes, most of the time I don't know what I'm going to do either, so that makes two of us. This is what I was trying to do the first time, but I ended up cocking up for want of a better word. So I'm just going to put a bit of just normal PVA glue on there, and I'm going to stick that onto the front of my funky foam letter. To leave that to dry for a bit. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, perfect barbecue weather today, isn't it? That's what we're having tonight. Got my friend Carl coming down. He lives in the street behind us, so he's going to pop down and we're going to have a barbecue this evening and a bit of a catch-up. And I may even partake in a glass of wine. There we are. So because I'm putting onto the funky foam, it just means it raises it up a little bit, and it just saves you having to try and struggle to build it up with foam pads and stuff like that. Just makes it a little bit easier. But you don't have to do it this way. You can always use foam pads, little foam pads, or 3D glue gel, whatever you prefer. That's the thing about crafting, is there's no right and wrong. The right way is the way that you do it. So as long as you're comfortable and happy doing it the way you do it, then that's all right. That's all that matters. M-E-R-R-Y. Merry. Some people don't like merry for Christmas, but I personally don't have a problem with it. I think merry is... A lot of people say merry means that you're getting drunk at Christmas and stuff, which obviously you do, but I don't think merry means that. I think merry is just, you know, you're happy. It's just an old-fashioned way of saying you're happy, I think. What do you all think? Are you a fan of merry, or do you prefer happy? I will do, thank you, Donna. You know me. Never want to blow my own trumpet about having a glass of wine. So, while I'm waiting for those just to dry a little bit, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. What does it say? Wishing you a wonderful Christmas. Now, where am I going to line it up? That's the thing. And have I got the confidence to do it without my stamping tool? Or shall I use my stamping tool? I'll use my stamping tool. Let me get my trusty stamping tool out and use that. Amazing things these are. Love them. If you're not too confident in stamping, then these are brilliant. So get my stamp, and I'm going to put it, I'm going to try and line it up, I think, below my merry. Just have a quick look at that, make sure that it's okay. Yes, I think that'll do. Can you all see that okay? So, oop, just picking up that. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually taken some of the, gone a little bit white there. So I'm going to try it with the Chinese red, I think. Because these are pigment ink pads. They stamp absolutely beautifully. Don't need to spritz them or anything, just ink up and stamp. Really give a lovely crisp finish. And then not going to push too hard, especially because I'm using my stamping tool. If it doesn't quite work the first time, I can always re-ink and stamp again. Wishing you a wonderful Christmas. Oh, I think that's come out lovely actually. What do you think? I think that looks pretty nice, but you can see the crispness on the finish. They do stamp lovely. Really impressed with them. What am I doing? Clean my stamp. So spritz with some water and give it a quick wipe. Dun, dun, dun. Oh. Oh, well, I'm missing all these comments. Donna said, could you offset it almost like a shadow effect? Yes, you could. Yeah, I don't see why not. The only thing you've got to think about is the fact that it's sort of going into the holes. So it's supposed to be, the idea of the Eclipse card is that it sort of blends in with the background. But yeah, you could, don't see why you couldn't do that. And Donna said she doesn't mind merry or happy. Oh, and Annie said Merry Xmas. I can't stand Xmas. If there's one word I hate, is Xmas. If you can't be bothered to say Christmas, then don't say anything. I don't. Oh, you'll never see me do anything with Xmas. Yeah, that makes more sense. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year is better than Happy Christmas and a Happy New Year, because you've got two happies. And Ian said, Gavin hates Xmas. Yep. The word Xmas, not Christmas in general. Yeah, not my favourite. So, right, the reason I cut another piece of the white was so that I could stick it behind, because obviously, because I want to raise this up a little bit from the mirror card. If I didn't put anything behind it, then it would have to stick onto the mirror card, and then it would be sunk down a bit, so which would completely defeat the object of it, basically. So what I need to do is I just need to stick this to the back of this, and then I can stick my letters on. So I'm going to grab a bit of my glue. Oh, good. I'm glad, Annie. Yeah, I know. I'd still prefer to type the word Christmas rather than type Xmas. I just really don't like that word at all. So I'm just going to go around my letters to make sure. I mean, you don't have to die cut your piece of card out. I just did just to make it easier. You can just use a scrap of card if you want. And then I'm just going to go around the edge of this a little bit just to make sure that it's going to stick all right. And I'm going to stick that onto the back of there and hope that I haven't got any glue in the wrong place. But I should be fine. Oh, a little bit my M, but that's all right because I'm going to be gluing that down anyway. There we are. So make sure that's all nicely stuck down, because I wanted to make sure that it was stuck down in the middle, in the inside of that as well, just so that it doesn't lift up at all. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my letters back in to those holes. But because they're raised up, they're going to stand out a little bit, and you'll see some of the foam showing through. And it just makes it, because you can see the foam as well, it just makes it look a little bit neater that it's been die cut out as well. So pop my M on there. About that. And then my E. Oh, see, now the only thing with the E is because I've got a little hole in the middle. What I could do is stick the inside of my E in there. But am I going to be able to get that in there, do you think? Hello, Janine. Thank you, Janine. See you later, Janine. Janine's going to watch later. Because obviously, if you don't get a chance to watch it live, it'll be uploaded to Facebook straight afterwards. And we also upload it to YouTube. So I'm just going to pop that in there, just because it would bug me. There we are, that's better, isn't it? Just put the little bit of the me E in the middle there, just so that you can, so it fills that little hole. Otherwise it would be there'd be a little white hole which would drive me potty. So M-E-R. And of course that's the versatility of these cards and the stamps as well, is that obviously the Poinsettia one is going to be more for a Christmas or a winter card. Could be a winter birthday card for somebody. And then the other one can obviously be for any occasion. Just because. Doesn't have to be for a birthday. Could be a sympathy card. If you've got a thinking of you stamp or something, you could maybe do you in the die cuts and then put thinking of in the top bit. Well, so that's those all stuck down. Doesn't that look lovely? Don't you think? It's all my letters all stuck down, so you can still see, as you turn it sideways, you can still see the funky foam underneath, but because it's been die cut it just looks neater, I think. But it does sort of blend in with the background as well. So then the only other thing I need to do is decide, I think I know which one I'm going to go for. I think I'm going to go for the red. I think it's got to be red, hasn't it? So I'm going to put mount it onto the red with a little bit of foam tape.
A little bit of foam tape.
Or maybe I should have done that beforehand. Oh well. As long as I'm careful. You always think of these things after you've done them, don't you? I really should have done it the other way around. Not a problem, I'm sure I'll survive. I will survive, as they say. So a bit of foam tape. Some on there, and then a little bit on the other two edges. Sticky, sticky. And then the last bit. The reason I'm being a bit more careful is because I don't want to, that's going to be too long now, isn't it? I don't want to squash my foam letters because they're not quite dry yet, so I want to make sure that I don't move them while they're still a little bit wet. It does look quite lacy, doesn't it, actually? Yes. Thank you, Annie. And then I'm just going to put a little bit in the middle for extra strength. Like to have a bit of support in the middle. Shall I stick that onto there first? I stick that onto there first of all, I think. See, I do like the matte mirror card. It's just a softer finish to it. It's not too garish, not too in your face. And this is the high-tack thin glue that I'm using here. I like to use the thinner one on sticking mats and layers down and stuff like that, because it's a bit thinner. It doesn't mark your card, doesn't show through. Doesn't make it go all lumpy and stuff like that. Do you sell that card in packs or single sheets? The mirror card? If it's the mirror card, it's I think it's in single sheets. I don't know what we've got in stock. We do sell mirror card in packs. I think it's a pack of 5 sheets, the Craft UK one. But the matte mirror ones, they're from Crafter's Companion, and they're the ones that are a bit of a pain because they only sell it in to us in big mixed packs, which is a bit of a pain. It's a shame they don't just do it in individual colours like that. That would be much better for us. So we do, but I'm not sure what we got. Sorry. So So just going to take the backing off my foam tape. Da, da, da. There we are. So then I'm going to put that, make sure my thing is going the right way. Stick that in the center. Like so. And I think the only other thing I did on my original card was I put some of the rainbow pearls on it. But I don't think the colours that we've got would be suitable. Because the rainbow pearls we've got these ones, which are sort of a green and a pink colour. It's a shame we haven't got a ready one really. That's those are sort of like mermaidy sort of colours, seaside colours. Those ones. Those ones are the purple and the blue. Which ones did I actually use? I think it was these ones I used, which is the pale pink and the pale blue. Is what I used on my friend card, but I'm not going to use any of those because they're not going to go. But if you wanted to, you could put some actual die cut poinsettias on there if you wanted. Or just a couple of little pearls, but I quite like it just like that. Yeah, so that is how I intended on doing my first card, but that's how my first card ended up because of my spelling problem. So there we are, there's my two cards. So I've got my Christmassy one and my sort of everyday friend one. So yeah, so it is what they call an eclipse card, which is why you can sort of see it blends in with the background. The letters tend to blend in with the background a bit. So that's that. Oh, that's me done. 3:20. Oh, it's nearly cup of tea time. Anyone got any questions? Thank you, Annie. Would you like a bit of chic? Thank you, Alison. So as I said, classes are starting back in the shop from next month. So if anyone would like to book in, we do have spaces available. If you look on the website and go into the classes and events section, there's a link to our calendar and all of the classes that we've got in August, and the availability is all on there. Anyone that isn't able to come to classes, if you still want to sign up for the online tutorials, if you go to our website and then on the very front page there is now an online classes section, and there's 3 classes on there at the moment. Got a card making class from June. We did a groovy class, which is parchment, this month, and the August class is also uploaded and it's all ready for anyone that wants to sign up for that class. So the classes are all £10. So all you have to do is just go onto the website, pay for the class, and then we will send you an email with a link to the Facebook group. You do need to make sure that you're on Facebook, obviously, to be able to access the group. And then you can watch the video on there, step-by-step tutorial that Ian's recorded. You can watch it as many times as you want. And anyone else that signs up to the group, or people that come to the class that access the group as well, everyone will be sharing all their photos of their finished projects as well, hopefully. So so that should be good. No problem, Tracy. Happy to help. Annie has asked, will Ian be doing the same theme for all the classes? What do you mean the same theme? Same theme for all the classes? Don't understand. Or do you mean the Facebook thing? Every month we'll be doing a Facebook group. I'm recording it to go online, so don't know if that's what you mean. Thank you, Donna. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. The same card. Yeah, August is obviously going to be the same. Yeah, every month it'll be a different card. So August's class will be one card, and then September will be a different card. So I hope that makes sense. So if you haven't already done, if you can share this live on Facebook, that would be really helpful. It does make a huge difference to the amount of people that get to watch the video, which supports us, and it doesn't cost you anything. So share, please. And thank you for watching. There's a link at the bottom here if you want to have a look at the products that I've used today as well. We've still got everything, touch wood, still in stock. But if there is anything that's out of stock, just let us know and we can reorder it again. So hopefully we'll be doing another Facebook Live next Thursday, if all's well. Do they mean the same card as the live? No, the live, this sort of live is going to be different to the card in the shop. The August class will be the new class that's available now on Facebook. We'll figure it out anyway. You'll get to understand what we're on about. Anyway, these Facebook Lives are always going to be on a Thursday afternoon, and they'll always be free because we just like to share inspiration and hints and tips, and give you the opportunity to maybe see how products work and think about buying them, because it's always nice if people buy from us, but it's not compulsory. So I'm going to shut up now, and thank you very much, everybody, and we shall see you again very soon. Thank you. Goodbye.